You ever notice how Toy Story hits way harder as an adult than it did when you were a kid? When we were little, it was just a fun movie. Toys talking, Buzz flying, Woody being dramatic, but watching it grown? Man, it's not about toys. It's about being replaced. And that fear, that's universal. Let's start with Woody. In the first Toy Story, Woody isn't just a cowboy doll. He's the favorite. He's the guy, the leader, the one who sleeps next to Andy every night. The one who gets picked first. That's his identity. Then Buzz Lightyear shows up. Shiny, new, flashy, has buttons, has wings, has catchphrases, has lasers, and in like 24 hours, Woody's entire world shifts. Andy doesn't reach for him first anymore. Buzz gets the prime real estate on the bed. Buzz gets the birthday excitement. Woody isn't mad because Buzz is annoying. Woody is terrified because for the first time, he realizes something. Love might not be permanent. That's a brutal realization, especially if your whole sense of worth is tied to being chosen. And that's what makes Woody so human. He spirals, he gets jealous, petty, passive-aggressive. He sabotages Buzz. Not because he's evil, but because he's scared. Scared of becoming irrelevant. Scared of being put in the toy chest. Scared of being forgotten. And if we're honest, we've all been Woody at some point. Think about it. You ever start a new job and suddenly someone younger, sharper, more connected walks in? That quiet panic? That's Woody energy. What makes Toy Story brilliant is that it doesn't pretend that fear isn't ugly. Woody's jealousy is uncomfortable to watch. He lies. He pushes Buzz out the window. He lets his insecurity control him. And that's real. Because when we feel replaceable, we don't act our best. We get defensive, competitive, bitter. We don't want to lose our spot. But here's the twist. Buzz doesn't even know he's replacing anyone. Buzz thinks he's a space ranger. That's another layer that makes this story genius. Buzz isn't trying to take Woody's place. He's just existing. And sometimes that's what hurts the most in real life. The person who replaces you, they're not even thinking about you. They're just being themselves. Then the movie flips the script. Woody and Buzz get lost. They're outside the safety of Andy's room. Now it's not about being the favorite. It's about survival. It's about getting home. And that's where Woody changes. Because he realizes something bigger than his fear of replacement. He realizes his value isn't about being first, it's about being there. That shift is powerful. Woody goes from, I have to stay the favorite, to, I just want Andy to be happy. That's growth. That's maturity. And that's what makes the ending hit. When Woody accepts that Buzz can be special too. When he makes room. That's the real victory. But Toy Story doesn't stop there. Because the theme of being replaced doesn't disappear after one movie. It evolves. In Toy Story 2, Woody finds out he's a collectible. He meets Jessie, Bullseye, Stinky Pete. And suddenly the fear isn't just being replaced, it's being abandoned. Jessie's story, that's devastating. Her owner, Emily, loved her, played with her, slept with her. Then Emily grew up, and one day Jessie got put in a donation box, not because she wasn't good enough, but because time moved on. That montage with When She Loved Me, that scene wrecked an entire generation. Because it's not just about toys, it's about realizing that sometimes people outgrow you. And that doesn't mean you didn't matter. It just means seasons change. By Toy Story 3, the fear becomes reality. Andy actually grows up. The toys aren't imagining being replaced anymore. They're staring at a future where they're obsolete. And that scene in the incinerator, when they all hold hands, that's not about plastic. That's about facing the end together. It's about accepting that your purpose might be shifting. And that's terrifying. But then Andy gives them to Bonnie. And Woody makes a choice. He could have stayed in the box, gone to college, stayed the sentimental favorite. But he lets go. He chooses what's best for the group. That's not insecurity anymore, that's love. And then Toy Story 4 pushes it even further. Woody is no longer Bonnie's favorite. In fact, he's barely played with. The old Woody would have spiraled, but this time he's calmer. Sad, yes, but not jealous, because he's learned something. Being loved once doesn't expire just because you're not the center anymore. That's such a grown-up message. And then comes the hardest decision of all. Woody chooses to leave, not because he's replaced, but because he's ready for something new. That's the final evolution, from fearing replacement to redefining purpose. If you zoom out, the entire franchise maps onto real-life stages. As kids, we fear losing attention. As teenagers, we fear being forgotten. As adults, we fear becoming irrelevant. As we age, we fear being replaced. At work, in relationships, in culture, you see it everywhere. That quiet ache of, am I still needed? That's the emotional core of Toy Story. But here's what the movies keep telling us. Replacement isn't the end of your value. It's the end of one role. Woody thought being Andy's favorite was his entire identity. But he was more than that. He was brave, loyal, compassionate, a leader. Those qualities didn't disappear when Buzz showed up. He just had to grow into them. And maybe that's the lesson. Sometimes you're the favorite toy on the bed. Sometimes you're in the toy chest. Sometimes you're passed on to someone new. And sometimes you walk your own path. Andy's love for Woody was real. Emily's love for Jessie was real. Those moments mattered, even if they didn't last forever. And maybe that's why Toy Story still hits decades later. Hey, Toy Story isn't about plastic cowboys or space rangers. It's about identity. It's about insecurity. It's about growth. And it's about letting go without losing yourself. Woody's greatest fear was being replaced, but his greatest strength was learning that he was more than his position. And maybe that's the reminder we all need. You don't lose your worth just because someone new walks into the room. You don't disappear just because the spotlight shifts. You're not obsolete, you're evolving. And maybe growing up isn't about staying the favorite. Maybe it's about being okay when you're not. That's Toy Story.